Good afternoon, everybody. David Shuster here on Take Action News. Welcome to our big show with Pete Callahan, Daniel Marins, Rachel Calver, the entire team. Daniel Marins, can you guys hear me today?
Yes, we can, David. Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, a few audio problems on this, and you're sounding a little bit low, but that's all right. It is great to have everybody here on our show for really almost the middle of July 2013, and it is a hot one up and down the East Coast. We've got a great show coming up. We're going to talk about the two big issues of the week that have been facing the Obama administration here in this first segment. And let's go ahead and get started. As Danny Marins was pointing out, it has been somewhat chaotic in the nation of Egypt. It was a year ago when they had presidential elections following they essentially deposed the president, Hosni Mubarak. They had presidential elections. The rightful winner of those elections a year ago was a man by the name of Morsi. President Morsi took over, and the Egyptian street has been widely disappointed with him, angry with him in terms of how he has handled the past year, corruption, not representing the views of the people. There have also been concerns that he is too heavy-handed in terms of his views of critics of his leadership. And, oh, by the way, he's fully supportive of the Islamic Brotherhood, which is considered something of a radical religious sect, a religious power broker in Egypt, and a lot of the secular Egyptians didn't like that. So in any case, over the last 2 weeks, right before July 4th, there was a military coup, widely supported by the public, by the street. There were mass demonstrations. And again, this duly elected leader, Morsi, was overthrown by the military with the support of the people. Here's what President Obama had to say about the coup, even though the administration was not calling it one.
That democracy is not just about elections. It's also about how are you working with an opposition? How do you treat dissenting voices? How do you treat minority groups? And what is clear right now is that although Mr. Morsi was elected democratically, there's more work to be done to create the conditions in which everybody feels that their voices are heard and that the government is responsive and truly representative. And so what we've encouraged the government to do is to reach out to the opposition and work through these issues in a political process. It's not the U.S.'s job to determine what that process is, but what we have said is go through processes that are legitimate and observe rule of law.
Part of the challenge, though, is for Egypt and the United States to determine what those processes are. And so far, what Egypt has come up with in terms of their interim transition, now that Morsi's out, the military has put the head of the Supreme Court in as the president and has put in a process that has already been rejected, both by everybody involved. Virtually everybody involved in this process has rejected the interim transition. And here's the report from, ironically, Jewish News 1.
The Obama administration has said it is encouraged by the proposed roadmap back to democratic civilian rule released by Egypt's interim leadership, while trying to reconcile the fact that a military they support with billions of dollars in aid ousted a democratically elected leader. The proposal has now been rejected by Egypt's main liberal opposition party, the National Salvation Front, as well as both the Muslim Brotherhood, which supports former President Mohamed Morsi, and the main protest movement opposed to Morsi.
Again, this proposal about an interim transition has been rejected by Egypt's main liberal party, the Muslim Brotherhood, who has supported Morsi, as well as the main protest movement opposed to him. So what does it mean for folks in the United States, residents of Washington, D.C., Anacostia, or inner city Chicago, or all of our listeners? Well, basically what it means is that because of the instability in Egypt, gas prices, oil prices are starting to go up. And as oil prices go up, that means you're going to pay more for your gasoline at the pump. It also has the potential for putting the brakes on the economy. And keep in mind, our economy is already somewhat fragile. It's not back to the levels that a lot of people would like to see. And the instability in the Middle East and the spiking oil prices, that essentially puts the brakes on. So it has a real economic impact on all of us.